Now, Amendum, when I went back and looked at Red Light Rocket's videos for context, the ones you were replying to, I'm not saying I agree. I don't believe imagination. I understand why he's talking about sort of an extensional analysis, the idea that there is a set of feelings we get when we're speaking about God, and that might actually be a set of feelings we still have and associate with something else. I personally wouldn't call it God or want to use God as a metaphor for that, and I would not use imagination, I would use perception. But anyway, what I really wanted to talk about was this loathing that you have for nature. I consider that very misguided philosophically and a bad sign. I mean, for one thing I want to say is that we are part of nature, okay? So if we fight against suffering, that is a part of nature, fighting against suffering. Now, why is there all this conflict to begin with? Well, you know, who knows? I'm going to say this explanation. You might not understand. People don't always understand when I refer to this, but it really should be considered a common thing in this kind of argumentation about this topic. I mean, because it's the subject of entropy. Now, as we know, physical entropy tends to increase, but life is able to decrease entropy. Now, how is that? It's simple. It's not a complicated thing, the whole entropy matter. You can reduce the entropy of a system if you spend energy doing so, and that's what life does. Okay, so for all we know, we are the chaos that we see among living things is really just a part of this entropy of things crashing against each other. And, you know, that is just reality. And life, as a process of reducing the entropy, will look within our systems, look within a particular community of animals, even besides humans. We reduce that chaos. We work on lessening the suffering. Now, there's a lot of injustices, and I'm politically, you know, one of the people that says we need to have more justice in the world. But it doesn't change the fact that nature, having produced life, produces these conditions in which we even care about suffering. That is a part of nature. Now, what you're really expressing is a desire to go beyond that and have some other kind of system, and that's got to be frustrated. I mean, meat-eating animals are going to still have to eat meat. They evolve to be in this situation. But you should be satisfied. Well, not that you should be anything. You can be however you want, but it seems like, based on what you say you want about suffering and whatnot, to you know, to lessen it, you should be happy that as it's the human nature to go ahead and try to do that. So anyway, I do like nature. I look back to nature for all the metaphors, guiding metaphors, so, in the state of nature. So anyway, well, I was going to go to bed, but I wanted to make this video because I didn't want to have to wait and keep thinking about it. I had some other things about what you said that frustrate me because you're insulting my side of the argument, so-called side, and I don't really see how you just keep calling it stupid. You're frustrated rather than able to enunciate. You say we just have to have an objective. No, we don't have to have an objective frame. We have a web of subjective frames. If it's based on people suffering and what they want in these terms you always use, then it's subjective, and that's fine. It's a web of subjective viewpoints with relationships between the subjects, meaning all of us, and that allows us to do what we call triangulating. On what? Well, on a common theory of objects between us. And yes, it's a lot like objectivity, but you can't just make quick assumptions as to about what it is. And fundamentally, the physicists have proved a relativity even among this so-called objective world. So all we really know about what the objective world is like, we can't even tell if stuff is energy or mass or waves, or it's all of these different things, it appears to us. All we really know is that it's a source of perception.